Life's too short to be serious, and I do hope that you've been out keeping active and having lots of fun chats with your friends and family. Now on this show, we like to cover a broad range of topics, so there's something for everyone over 50. And today we meet Hunter Leonard from Silver and Wise. Now Hunter's helping a lot of mature Aussies continue their careers into their 70s. Now we know that physical activity is great for our mental health and helps us live independently as long as possible. So please join us in the fitness segment. And we have some more tips on grandparenting from expert Colleen Wilson-Lord. Welcome to Living Life. This is where we look at things that you might experience at this life stage. It could be grandparenting skills. It could be hitting the road as a grey nomad. Or it could be starting your own business. Today we have with us Hunter Leonard. He's a business owner, speaker and author, and he describes himself as an ageism activist. In 2016, Hunter started Silver and Wise, which helps mature Aussies start and run their own business. He's written 7 books, including the Amazon bestsellers, The Experience Equation and Generation Experience.
We are wasting experience and wisdom one mature age person at a time. Ageism sucks, and we can't afford to let it continue. I want to create opportunity and prosperity for mature age people who've experienced discrimination and ageism.
Good morning, Hunter, and welcome to Over 50 So What?
Good morning, Carol. Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Yes, well, you're on an exciting mission, and it's very much in line with what we're about on this show as well, like not using, age as just a number. And there's probably a number of people sitting at home, they've lost their job, they don't feel confident enough about getting back into the workforce, or they might be in a job and they just don't feel their experience is valued. Yeah. And in my experience, I've met quite a few Australians that once they hit 50, they just feel that they're not going to get another job because of their age. And you're on an amazing mission, and that's to create opportunity and prosperity for mature Aussies. And it's not all about getting a job, is it? So please tell us about your amazing mission.
So if I could summarise the mission, it's really just to help every single mature age person sort of live the life that they want to, particularly those that have still got gas in the tank, that still have maybe 10, 15 or 20 years of working life left. So that's our particular audience that we want to help. And you're right, they are discriminated against on the basis of age, and ageism is the one that probably affects the most people because we all are going to get older at some point. Our mission is to reverse that by putting control back in the hands of that individual mature age person, whether that's working in gigs or as a freelancer or getting a job, or indeed maybe even starting their own business. So that's what we're on about, and ultimately we then want to contribute to an end to this thing called ageism.
That sounds awesome. So what are the services that you offer for people around this?
For a mature person who isn't quite sure what they want to do in the future or is a bit worried about the barriers that they have, we help them with what we call a future plan, which is really just looking at the possibilities that exist for them as an individual based on the skills they have and also the things that they love doing. So we're trying to put them back into a situation where they're not banging their head against this brick wall of sending off resumes and not getting interviews, taking a step back and sort of re-examining the process of what other opportunities are available. If they're mature age and they have actually decided to start a business, then what we do is we help train them in business ownership skills.
So tell us about what sort of ages have you been working with?
Basically, obviously in a business where you're having a go at ageism, you want to be sure you're not ageist, but most of our clients are probably in their 40s through to their early 70s, I suppose. You're definitely seeing a longer longer working life for people these days. I mean, we've got an age expectancy in the late 80s or early 90s for men and women now. So most men and women are going to work or do something well into their 70s because they're fit and they're able and they've still got energy and they're healthy.
Can you give us some examples of some of your clients you've worked with?
So we've worked with all sorts of, our advisors have probably consulted to hundreds of people now, which is very cool. But a few that stick out. One is a single Aboriginal mother who is running her own consulting business, but needed some help with understanding how to sort of build that business and expand. And so we mentored her for a period of time and helped her with all of the different skills that she needed to sort of take herself from being a consultant to really running a really good business. And she has an amazing business. She helps other Indigenous businesses. And we've also, like one of my advisors, for example, is in his mid-60s. His mum is in her mid-90s. She did a PhD in her 80s. So he was experiencing discrimination and couldn't get another job despite having nearly, I think at the time, 45 years of experience in senior management. There's so many stories of amazing ideas and mature age people with lots of energy and vigor and a willingness to sort of continue to produce and be productive.
For me, a near 40-year career with one major corporate business, but still that's not enough to protect you from what is literally just an ageism-based redundancy process. After that, of course, the rubber hits the road and you suddenly realise that you're not going to find a job easily. Those countless emails and countless phone calls. And a chief executive suggested I talk to you because you were doing some great things in the mature age employment space. And luckily for me, I did just that. And the rest is history, as they say.
I think this next generation coming through are much more interested in continuing to contribute to society, well into their 70s and perhaps even longer.
Now, you've got a best-selling book, The Experience Equation. Can you tell us a bit about what's this book about and how's it going to help mature Aussies?
Well, I wrote the book because I did about 300 odd interviews with mature Aussies. And one of the things that I noticed was that they weren't planning for the future. So they were going along on the course of they had a job or they'd lost a job and they were trying to get a new one but struggling. So the main theme was that they didn't have a plan. So the first part of the book is helping them develop their future plan. A lot of organisations are talking about this idea that they want to move to more of a freelance workforce. They don't want to have full-time employees, and mature workers are used to working in a job. They're not prepared to be a freelancer. So there's a whole move towards having to be ready to be more of a freelancer because you may not be able to get that individual job. So the book also goes through all of that research and tells people what the trends are, where the jobs are going to be, so that they can prepare their own plans. So it was my way of putting the control back in the individual while we go and fight the good fight on ageism over the next few decades.
Yes, it's going to be a long fight.
Well, I think we've proven as a society we're not really good at getting rid of isms. I mean, women got the vote in the 1900s and they're still underpaid compared to men. And I think we also need to think about that in ageism, is that it's equal rights for men and women of all ages.
Well, Hunter, thanks for coming on the show. That's an amazing work that you're doing out there. So I'm sure a lot of people watching are going to be thinking, oh, yes, maybe there is hope for me after all. Maybe there is something I can do. Maybe I can start my own business. Maybe I can go off and do freelance, So I think you're providing an amazing silver and wise. Obviously, you're very silver and wise, but not so silver at the moment.
Yeah, look, I would absolutely encourage every one of your listeners to realise that they actually do have value, that wisdom and experience has a value. It's just a matter of unlocking that and proving it to others. And we have some battles to fight against that, but there's no doubt that the experience and wisdom that every one of your listeners has a value.
Well, thanks so much for that, Hunter. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you, a lot more from you.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're looking at reinventing yourself, getting back into the workforce, or starting your own business, you want some more information, just jump on our website or send us a note through Facebook. stable, you're not too fit, you may want to try it with a chair behind you like this, so that you're just going down, sticking your bottom out, keeping your back straight, and you can just touch the chair and come up. So that just makes you feel a bit safer having the chair there and up. If you can, sit down on the chair and push up. So that's how you can do it if you're not too stable. Otherwise, join me in the middle. Okay, 5-minute fitness. Get on your feet, get on your feet. Come on, we're going to do some good leg work for the squats. So we're going to take a knee bend, feet pointing straight ahead. And we go down and up. See how my knees are going right out of my toes? Down and up. Looks like this. Down. Nice straight back. Down. Up. As you get fitter, you can take your bottom down, but not any lower than your knees. Down. Up, few more, down, up, that's it. 2 more, down. Now we're going to take a knee lift, knee, down, lift, down, lift, down, that's it. Lift, down, lift, down. Very good for your balance. Lift, down. I've got a dodgy left hip, so I'm not quite so stable on that side. Good for me. Good for me to do this one. Two more. Squats. Are we ready? Down, up, down, up. Excellent. Nice strong legs. That's it. Up, up. Now we're going to lift the leg to the side, down, side, down, side, down. Just lift it to the side with the side left. Just have your fingertips resting on the chair. Squat. Down. Up. Down. Up. That's it. If you can, try and pull your tummy in at the same time. Pull it in. And as you come up, you can squeeze your buttock as well. Down. Squeeze those cheeks. That's it. 2 more. Now, lift, down, lift, In the last show, we talked about some grandparenting skills. What do you want to be called when you become a grandparent? How to manage your time, and the importance of setting boundaries. Now, Colleen Wilson-Lord has over 10 years experience teaching grandparenting courses. We couldn't possibly squeeze a whole course into one small segment. So we're going to continue the conversation today. We're going to look at how do we keep our health and energy while taking on the extra requirements of being a grandparent. We once again meet Colleen Wilson-Lord OAM, who has over 4 decades experience in health promotion, specialising in the over 50s. Hi Colleen, welcome to Over 50 So What?
Hi, Carol. Very happy to be here with you. Fantastic.
So you touched before about the amount of energy it needs to look after a toddler, not so much when they're a baby, but when they become a toddler. So how do you prepare yourself for that amount of energy, and how do you look after your own health and energy?
Well, I think the number one thing, if you're still working, then it's a challenge because you've only got the weekends, and it's usually that time when you're busy at home doing your chores. So you've got to start to prepare by doing more exercise, get yourself out doing some exercise. You don't have to do a lot of exercise to give yourself some energy. So remember, it's better to do 10 or 15 minutes of a quick walk around the block, get yourself ready for whatever the day is going to bring forth. But you really do have to get fit to be a grandparent. So if you're not fit now, then I'd suggest that if the grandchild's coming or it's on the way, start getting out onto a little bit of a fitness program, start doing more exercise, also doing a little bit of weightlifting. Now, I mean, be careful, but even lifting up a couple of tins of baked beans, etc. Think how heavy a child is, a baby. You're lifting them in and out of the pram, whatever it may be. So doing things that you would normally be doing for a child, you've got to do more of that to get yourself ready for it. So you do need to build up your own health and wellness to be able to prepare yourself for what I consider to be one of the most important roles that you'll ever have, and that's being a grandparent.
So if you find yourself worn out, you've taken it on too much, you've said you'd take the child for 6 hours and you found that you burnt out after 3 hours, what steps would you advise people to take then?
You do need to confront the parent. You do need to confront the parents and say, look, it was wonderful having Billy for 6 hours. However, I'm concerned because I was absolutely worn out, and I don't want that to happen because I want to look after the baby, the child. I want the child to be safe, and therefore if I'm exhausted, I may not have all my wits about me, and I need to have those if I'm going to look after the child. So can we bring it back to a half a day, and perhaps do that twice a week instead of a whole day once a week, something like that. So have a couple of hours rather than a long period of time. So you have to confront the parents again and tell them, and just pick the right time to tell them, because they're going to go, but I think they will understand. If you say that's how important it is for you to have your wits about you when you're dealing with the child, that they will understand, well, I don't want my child to be anywhere that it's not going to be safe. So it's terribly important that mum, or dad is going to have all their faculties on board when they're looking after my child.
So to just wind up for today's session, what are your top 5 or 6 tips or top tips for becoming a grandparent for the first time?
The most important thing, I think, is don't try and be the parent, because you're not. You're not the parent, and they are the parent. They will have rules and regulations that you probably won't agree with all of them, but that's what you've got to take on board. So the number one thing is don't take on the role as a parent, but instead be the support person. The other thing is, and we've seen it so often, is that grandparents overindulge the child, the grandchild. So don't try and buy their affection or give them heaps of toys. In fact, it's better to take them out, have fun in the park, play with them, do things at home, enjoy them, but not necessarily buying them lots of things. That they want you and they want your time. And whatever you do, don't ignore the boundaries of what the parents have put in place. If they have a peculiar diet that they want their child to be on, or they're not allowed to have sweets and they're not allowed to have this, and you don't put the nappy on that way, all of these things, just go with it. Because really, at the end of the day, you want to have the best relationship you can have with the parents and the grandchild. So just watch those boundaries and just keep it nice and quiet. It's good to be able to have an opinion and help the parent if necessary, but give the parent the opportunity to ask you for your advice. Say, Mum, Dad, what would be good for me to do this, or whatever. And I think that comes as a very meaningful thing to the parent. They would, they want Mum and Dad involved, but they don't want Mum and Dad to take over.
Now, what is the best thing about becoming a grandparent? What are the good things about it?
My friend said it was absolutely wonderful to share the wisdom, your wisdom, with love and kindness to another being. This little being is going to go forward into the world. You now have this opportunity of giving them your ideas about life, what you've learned, your wisdom. And that seems to be, to me, one of the most magical things you can do. Probably never had time to do it with your own children or your own nieces and nephews. You were too busy working. Now you might have a little bit more time to give them that knowledge and that love. And I think the joy of being with a little being that's just ready. It's like blotting paper. It's taking everything in, and all you're doing is giving them all of the advice that you can possibly give a small child at the beginning of its life, which all of your ideas will take them through into their life as they get older.
Well, thanks so much, Colleen, for your time today. And I do hope you come again on the show, because we'll pick your brains on a few other topics as well.
I think the one that I'd really love to do is dealing with teenagers as a grandparent, because I think it's great up until the age of, sort of probably 10, perhaps 11. And then after that, things change as the child obviously grows and has more opinions. How do we deal with that when they're, standing in front of you and saying, but I don't want to do that? So I think they're challenges, Carol.
All right, well, I think we'll definitely do a session on that. There'll be a lot of people watching going, I want to know how to do that, how to deal with that situation.
Well, I actually have a few good tips for that one, because they're things you learn along the way, and I think it's quite a challenge, but it can be made less challenging. Okay, so the other thing I just want to say, brush up on all your hobbies and make sure that you get your grandchildren involved in your hobbies. All the lovely things you like doing, cake making, sewing, all of those things that mums and dads don't always have time to do, get in and show your grandchildren how to do it.
Thanks so much, Colleen. Thanks for watching today. Maybe you know someone who's a new grandparent, or someone who wants to continue their career into their 70s. Please send them to our Facebook page, Over 50 So What, YouTube, and all information on all the guests is also on the website. Now, time to get up, be active. See you next time. I'm Carol, Over 50 So What. Thanks for watching our TV show. Be sure to hit subscribe, and then you'll never miss an episode. Jump on Facebook, join our group, get in on the fun, fitness, wellness and inspiration. I'm Carol, Over 50. So what?